How is everybody? It's Dr. K here for our Wisdom Wednesday. Once again, it is sunset where I'm at. Sitting right over there, we have clouds. It is early morning, United States, so it'll be Sunday musings. I want to share with you today, as we spoke about the lungs on our Medical Monday, as I finished, I really thought there's one more aspect I wanted to share with us, and that is the connection between organs and emotions. It's quite once again, an old healing system. Many of them, as a matter of fact, one of them being the Chinese medicine. And lungs being connected to grief and sadness, I thought, why don't we look at the whole body and then the emotional pool of all sorts of beautiful emotions. But before we do that, I wanted to share with you this amazing chapel. It's a little baby chapel on top of a hill. And the significance of it, as it's a 3-point chapel that you can see here. It has 3 points on the outside, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's hexagonal on the inside. And the beauty of it, which I always find amazing, is the leader of this small town at that point was so grateful that he was able, and his family was able, to survive this huge plague that was through Europe, that he built this beautiful chapel as a thank you and gratitude. So it stands for all to see and for all to be grateful. And I thought that's such a great segue into our emotions. You know, I'm going to share this from the standpoint of, this is what we are told as lungs housing the sadness and the grief, the kidneys housing the fear, the liver housing anger and hatred, especially in the gallbladder. There's that resentment, heart housing joy. But truly, I feel that's so limited, and I have seen that being very, if you've heard that somewhere, I have seen that for my patients being very boxed in. It's almost like, okay, so if I have lung issue, I must have grief. And it kind of could segue us a little bit into a looking for something that may not be there and omitting something that is there. The reason I'm sharing that is, yes, there's a guideline, right? And I have seen that quite a bit. I've had patients with chronic infection. Let's say 10 years ago, they had acute pneumonia, and ever since then, they were not able to recover. There's still difficulty breathing. Asthma happened afterwards. And it just reminded me, as we're speaking about lungs, yes, there was grief. There was something very traumatic happening during that time. So naturally, the lungs would be the organ that were weakened at that time, and there might have been affected. And there's so much more, right? Because our emotions don't stand alone. When there's grief, there's usually sadness and anger, possibly rage. So grief and sadness are on the same platform. I kind of perceive grief being a deeper level of sadness that encompasses more of the energy field, just like with anger and frustration, and then the hatred is really the deeper emotion. And for the most part, when I look at myself and my patients, they all come together. You know, the fear is there, and then the anger kind of covers up the sadness, and the anger tries to protect the part that's sorrowed and that's afraid. So there's like this anger comes forward. It's like, I'm the protector of the whole. The reason I'm speaking about this is, for the longest time as a medical doctor, you know, I have spent, 10 years in medical school, right? 6 of those years were traditional medicine, and just like we have not learned anything about nutrition, there was no mention of emotions. The only mention of emotions was in psychiatry, and that was considered as, you know, this person has this mental illness, this person has this mental illness, you know, anxiety, okay, boom, here, you get medication, right? Depression, okay, boom, here, you get medication. Oh my goodness. Instead of taking the emotions as actually being part of the whole and being the pathway to healing oftentimes. I can't tell you how many times I'm having this 101, usually during our first new patient visit. We get quite a bit of time. That was one of the reasons I really desired and longed to become a naturopathic doctor, because there was no time to get to know the person. There was no time in traditional medicine to look at the whole, right? It was, here are your symptoms, boom, 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 here are medications, off you go. Okay, next time you come, maybe you'll need surgery, but that's that. Oh my goodness, that's so little as far as looking at the whole being. So I was so grateful and so just really in awe of starting to see the whole organism and see how the emotions do affect the physical workings of every single one of us. And I feel it's not as simple as putting them, this one organ holds this one organ holds this. However, it can be a huge help. Let's say somebody does have lung conditions and they had a major trauma, grief event of losing someone. There are some powerful homeopathic remedies that I wanted to share with you for certain organs, and I'll make a little note underneath our musings today. But one of them, for more of acute grief, it's a homeopathic called Ignatia, I-G-N, not Ignatia, but Ignatia. Oh my goodness, beautiful remedy. For chronic grief, it's Natrum Muriaticum, beautiful remedy once again. For the deeper anger and rage and sadness, I'm going to share with you a story. It's a very personal story. I had eczema for so long. Like, since I was, 6 months old, I had eczema. And I still had it when I came to the United States and I started medical school. And I was like, okay, this is going to work. I'm in naturopathic medicine. I need to try everything, right? So I went to a naturopathic doctor, this top homeopath in our school who was our teacher. And they were so excited because, the remedy comes from it's the constitutional, it comes from the whole being, right? So they found this remedy and they were so excited that they were right on, that they gave me super high dose. Like, there's a remedy called Staphysagria, which is for suppressed anger and rage. And I was doing a really good job at suppressing it, but it came through. Somehow they figured it out from a lot of other things, right? It's not just one thing, it's a lot of other things. They gave me the super top high dose, 10 m. So the higher the number, the deeper the medicine works. They gave me this medicine, and literally, oh my goodness, I had no idea I had that much suppressed anger. And then looking back, growing up where I did grow up in a country that literally its MO was suppression, it started making sense later on. But here's what happened. I was so angry. Like, I didn't know what to do with my anger. I had this beautiful soul living with me at that time. And I remember I just started throwing things, just like throwing things out of nowhere. It was the only thing that was able to release the energy. I thought, what the heck is going on with me? So I called these doctors, right? It's like, something wrong with me. I'm throwing these things. And I heard them screaming on the phone, yeah, the remedy is working. And I'm like, dudes, like, that may be nice, but like, this is pretty crazy. You might have maybe given me a little too high of a dose. But the idea is that there are the homeopathic medicines, not in this way, right? That was too high of a dose because I was a student, so they thought, hey, we can play with that. But the homeopathic medicines, what they do, they help to open up these stagnant emotions. And there's two things that I have seen, and that is so important in lieu of our cleanse and talking about organs. It works both ways. When we start healing, and that is the most profound thing I have witnessed. It's not anything I have learned anywhere, it's what I have witnessed with my patients coming over and over, is when we start healing emotionally, when we start releasing the emotions truly out of our organism, the body starts releasing the physical stagnators, the toxins, the heavy metals, the lymphatic stagnation, I call the oppression of the mitochondria, but literally the bogging down of the metabolism starts waking up. As we're releasing the emotions, the body starts flowing, and vice versa. When we start cleansing the physical toxins, we start cleansing emotions. Have you ever experienced that, doing a cleanse and just being so raw and so emotional and so sad or angry? And oh my goodness, that is such a powerful and beautiful sign of the body healing. And so what I would like to propose to us, we don't have to worry about one organ housing this, one organ housing this, just realizing that emotions are actually energy. And we all love to experience joy and happiness, which is a high vibration flowing emotion. It's an emotion that flows, right? In contrast to that, fear is very constricting. It's still an emotion, but it's very constricting. Anger is kind of similar. It's constricting, but yet it has this impulsive flow and needing to burst outward. Sadness is more of a not constricting as much as sort of the vibration goes down and it sort of feels heavy and kind of slow and not quite sure what to do with that. If we were to take the judgment out of these energies, if we were to take the labeling of this is anger and it's bad, this is sadness, it's bad, this is fear, oh my God, it's bad, I have anxiety, I have to get medication. If we were to take that out of the picture, and let's say, I'm an alien coming onto this planet and somebody's trying to describe to me these emotions and I have no idea that one is good and one is bad, and they're just describing me. Here is joy and sadness and it's this flowing motion. Here's this one and it's heavy and kind of dense, and here is this one that feels constricting. I would be seeing them as, they're the same balls of energy within our organism. And the huge reason I'm talking about this is if we can allow them to move, just like we are trying to move the toxins, right? We're trying to create flow in our body. We're moving, we're exercising, we're breathing, we're, moving the diaphragm, all of that. If we could access our emotions in that way without the judgment and just see, okay, joy, the reason it feels so good is because it's flowing. It's an in and out cycle. Anger doesn't flow. It constricts, builds, and like a bomb blows up. Fear just simply constricts until it really becomes depression, right? Depression is opposite anger and fear. Sadness is just kind of like this river that sort of flows, not really sure where, overflows, sort of like instead of flowing, sort of creates like this big overflow in one area. So if we were to look at that this way and approach our emotions as energies and understand that they can become profound life force for our body, and vice versa, when they're constricted, it actually takes our life force to hold them in that place. That eventually then can become the physical body trying to create something around that emotion, to create a physical boundary to hold it. And all sorts of emotions can happen into a physical manifestation of illness. That is available, possible, doesn't have to happen. So why don't we approach it in a way that next time I feel sad or angry or joyful, I just watch the flow and I stop judging this is good and bad. Wouldn't that be something to really consider as moving the energy, just like we're moving out of breath, and allow our body to move and receive? I'll just give you a few things. Some people love to go for a physical exercise while they're angry and upset and literally move the energy, just run and go, like scream, like, oh, whatever you want to scream at that point, move it. It really helps when one is angry. Oh my goodness, if we really need to release the anger, right, we don't want to go release it at anybody, not even at us. We want to release it physically. The best thing I have found is 2 ways. Take ice cubes and throw them in the bathtub with as much force as possible. And literally, as we're throwing, we are opening. Like, imagine there's an opening happening. We're releasing that energy. We can do that, you know, with a little doll, hit the pillow, whatever. With sadness, the best thing, of course, is crying. But sometimes that's not available, so we start writing, right? We start writing to the person that we feel is causing the sadness, even though they're just triggering the sadness within us that has been there for so long. Joy is easy, you know, joy is easy. Fear is a tough one. With fear, it's easiest to literally just know that I'm in fear, and for a moment feel the constriction, right? And create even more constriction, almost like go into the constriction and squeeze really hard, and then sort of create an opening around us like a ball, and then squeeze into the fear really hard and create an opening. You would think, like, why am I talking about this when it comes to medical health and in the well-being of our organism? You would not believe. I see it like in real time with my patients. You know, they start doing this and they go from one person literally to like their life force awakening within minutes. And it's not spoken about, and it is really not taught in medical school, not even much in naturopathic school. So I just wanted to put it out there a little bit. I'm gonna post some homeopathic remedies underneath. You gotta start with a low dose if you want to play with that. I'm happy to connect with you and support you, but just realize that there is so much more to these emotions, that good, bad, that they are actually energies, and they are life force that we can use, as crazy as it sounds, to nourish our cells, our mitochondria, our bodies, by creating flow. How does that sound? Thank you for joining me. I'll be back with you on Friday for Friday Facts. All right? I got around the same time. Thank you, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.